had always been a night owl, but that habit changed the night I stayed up past midnight in our new house. We had just moved to a quaint little neighborhood, far from the bustling city, for some peace and quiet. The house was charming, an old Victorian-style home with creaky floors and a spacious backyard. It was a rainy evening, and my parents had gone to bed early, exhausted from unpacking. I stayed up in the living room, scrolling through my phone with a cup of tea, the sound of raindrops tapping against the window. The house had been quiet all night, save for the occasional groan of the wooden walls as they adjusted to the weather. Around midnight, I heard it, a faint whisper. I froze, thinking it might have been the wind, but then it came again, more distinct this time. It sounded like a child's voice, soft and eerie, coming from the hallway that led to the basement. "Come play with me." I set my tea down, my pulse quickening. It must have been my imagination. But as the sound repeated, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Against my better judgment, I decided to investigate. I grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen and made my way to the hallway. The whispering grew louder as I approached the basement door. "Come play with me," the voice repeated, almost pleading. "Come play with me," the voice repeated, almost pleading. The door was slightly ajar, revealing the steep staircase leading into the darkness below. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the light switch. Taking a deep breath, I turned on the basement light. It flickered for a moment before going out completely, leaving me in total darkness. My flashlight barely cut through the gloom as I descended the stairs, each creak of the wooden steps echoing loudly. When I reached the bottom, I shone my flashlight around the basement. It was just as we'd left it, piles of boxes and old furniture covered in dust. But then my light landed on something that wasn't there before, a small antique doll sitting upright in the center of the floor. It looked old, with cracked porcelain skin and faded clothes. Its glassy eyes seemed to follow me as I moved close. My stomach churned as I noticed something even stranger, a child's handprint in the dust, leading away from the doll toward the far wall. The whispers came again, louder now and closer. "Come play with me." My heart raced as I swung the flashlight toward the wall. There was nothing there. The whispers stopped abruptly, replaced by a heavy silence that made my skin crawl. I turned to leave, but then I heard a loud thud behind me. I whipped around to see the doll had fallen over, its face now turned directly toward me. That was enough. I bolted up the stairs, slammed the door shut, and locked it. I didn't sleep that night, and when I told my parents the next morning, they dismissed it as a bad dream. But the whispers didn't stop. Every night, just after midnight, I would hear the same haunting voice, always from the basement. "Come play with me." Oh, this day, I refuse to go near that basement. I can't explain what happened, but I know one thing for sure. I wasn't alone in that house. Months went by, and everything seemed normal again. But then one night, I came home to find the basement door wide open. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I hesitated, unsure if I should go in or leave it alone. But curiosity got the better of me. I stepped into the basement, the door creaking shut behind me. This time, the basement was empty, but the air felt thick and heavy, as if something was watching me. And then I saw it, the doll sitting in the same spot as before. The doll's eyes were now wide open, staring at me. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed with fear. Before I could react, the whispers started again, louder and more desperate. "Come play with me," the voice repeated, now accompanied by a soft giggle. I backed away slowly, but before I could turn to run, the light went out again. In the darkness, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. My breath caught in my throat as the footsteps continued, growing louder. I could feel the cold breath on my neck, but when I turned around, nothing was there. Then I heard the giggle again, this time right behind me. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned and ran for the stairs, the basement door slamming shut behind me. The sound of the door slamming echoed through the house as I stood, trembling on the stairs. I didn't sleep for days after that, terrified that the doll would come back for me. And yet, every night I would hear the whispers, "Come play with me." I didn't know how to escape the curse that the doll had placed on me. I tried to ignore the whispers, but they wouldn't stop. Day and night, they haunted me. One night I decided I would destroy the doll, hoping it would stop the torment. But as I lifted the hammer, a loud voice filled the room. "If you destroy me, you'll never leave." I froze, the hammer still in my hand, as I realized the truth. The doll wasn't just a toy. It was a vessel for something far worse. I tried to run, but the door wouldn't open. I was trapped, the doll's voice echoing in my head. Desperation set in. I grabbed the doll and threw it across the room, hoping to break its hold on me. But when I looked back, the doll was standing again, exactly where it had been. I backed away, feeling the cold grip of fear tighten around my chest. The whispers grew louder, surrounding me, until I couldn't hear anything else. I felt a presence behind me and turned just in time to see the doll's face twist into a wicked grin. In that moment, I realized that the doll was the one in control. I was its prisoner. The last thing I remember was the doll's voice, whispering one final time, "Now you're mine."